Welcome to the sound of the start of your weekend, the Not the Top 20 podcast betting show. It's sponsored by Sky Bet. It's George and me making betting picks ahead of a reduced EFL docket this weekend, and it's for over 18s only. Betting comes with risks. Please make sure that you brush up on them and understand the risks that come with gambling. The best place to do that is be gamble aware. Head to gambleaware.org to understand the risks that come with betting. Hello, mate.
What's the opposite of a throbbing docket?
A reduced slate.
Thank you. So why did you say something else there? Shrinking docket.
Well, there's millions of words in the English language, and you can combine many of them to create new phrases and just mix things up.
True.
And that's what I try and do as best as possible. It is reduced, but there's some big games, some really fun games this weekend. And I don't need to be a salesperson of the EFL, but it obviously suits us if people are interested in EFL football matches. Let me tell you about Doncaster Bradford, massive in League One, and one where George and I are sort of, we have our own sides here in our 1 to 24s. I was very much Team Bradford and he was very much Team Donny. They've both started really, really well. Argyle Stockport, full of intrigue. And then in League Two, you can't move for interesting games, really. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of them on the betting show. But just to mark your card, Cheltenham-Accrington is a huge early season relegation 6-pointer. MK Grimsby and Walsall-Chesterfield are two games between some of the most impressive sides in League Two so far. 5:30, live on the box, we got Bromley. Keep an eye on them. Easier when they're live on TV. And Gareth Ainsworth and Gillingham heading to town as well. So if you like watching 90 minutes of set pieces, that's for you. Last week on this show, George got his nap up. Shock. Can't stop getting his nap up.
All season.
You literally haven't got one wrong yet.
I know.
Which is statistically improbable.
Well, there was a run before the birth of my first child where I got 11 naps in a row.
Yeah.
And then it had to end.
Ironic.
Because I was, because your life becomes about naps after that.
Not napping ever since then.
And then Goffey came on, so it ended because I had to leave.
Wow.
So how many are we now? Is it?
Well, I fell off. I fell off the wagon.
No, for me.
For you, I think,
5?
Well, we've had 3 betting show proppers, and then when we had 2 sort of semis before, we'll call it 5. And, the unspoken word here, which is normally a word that you're very quick to use, is variance. And I wouldn't be surprised if you feel its cold slap.
Nor would I.
At some point soon. Your next best and your goal scorer were both pro Birmingham. They lost at Leicester, and Kyogo did not score 2 or more.
Had a sniff.
But the most important thing
2 or more sniffs
is a PSA. We've had more than one person tell us that Kyogo is just an absolute butchering of the poor lad's name, Furuhashi. Kyogo from now on, please. Like Barry Keoghan.
Okay.
Might not even be how you pronounce that.
Keoghan.
Keegan. Kyogo didn't score, but your Akaswerve. Hell of a start to the Akaswerve as well. 2 out of 3 that you've sort of correctly swerved, but Chesterfield at 8 to 15. Swerved them, drew to all. That is class. My week was rubbish. My Nap Tranmere were 1-0 up and lost. My goal scorers, Connolly had 3 shots, 2 on target, but not big chances, both from range, both saved. Manhurf went much closer, 2 on target, 3 shots total. Bit disappointed about that one. And then Ben Cabango had nothing really. Cameron Burgess, his centre-back partner, did have a chance from a corner, but I had picked the wrong CB, and he didn't score anyway. The Eggman, the Acker, 2 out of 5, Swansea and Borough. Tranmere, no good. Huddersfield, no good. And Lincoln conceded late to Mansfield with 10 men to draw 1-1. 3 out of 6 for the BTTS sixfold. We're going to do a slightly different joint bet this week. We have both flagged up a correct score bet. We'll do a correct score double at the end of the show. But first, George Ellick's nap going for 6 in a row. What's your best bet in the EFL this weekend?
Port Vale to beat Leyton Orient at 23-20.
Someone's listened to our new show, Good Month, Bad Month.
Yeah, someone listened to my thoughts on Port Vale before choosing their good month on Good Month, Bad Month.
Okay. Who? No, it wasn't me. They're my thoughts.
Port Vale are the team, in my mind, who have been most hard done by in terms of their performances and their results. I think that can kind of be seen in what's happened in their cup games so far, where if you look at their league form, they're yet to win. They've only got 2 points. Those points came in 2 0-0 draws. They've lost to Rotherham on opening day, which was, in hindsight, bizarre given the way that both teams have played since that game. They lost to Stevenage, no shame in that. Lost to Doncaster, no shame in that. And lost to Reading last weekend in a game where Reading scored another worldie, and that, as Reading games tend to be the case, was enough for them to win the 3 points. in their cup games, they've beaten Blackpool away, they've beaten Birmingham away, and they put 4 past Leeds' kids in midweek. And I think it's only a matter of time until this Port Vale side starts to show what they're all about. The numbers are pretty good. They've been bet off the boards in most games before kickoff, which in itself is now a pretty strong indicator of teams' quality, which we've spoken about it a lot, but basically, closing lines at this point, given how well-informed betting markets are, is a very good gauge of a team's quality. And they face a Leyton Orient team who come into this off the back of 2 consecutive defeats against 2 teams in Mansfield and Northampton, most troublingly last time out, who they probably would have expected to give a much tougher game to. They shipped 4 away at Mansfield. They lost 1-0 at home to Orient. And Richie Weddens has spoken about his team being a bit jaded and looking a bit off it. And a midweek win, but a midweek game against Peterborough, straight into another away game again. So back-to-back away games, Tuesday, Saturday, not ideal, I wouldn't say, for a team who he believes is a bit behind.
Played an hour with 10 men in that game as well.
Exactly. So, with Orient, we know the quality players that they lost at the back end of last season. Yes, they've won 2 games in this campaign. A home win against Wigan. Wigan haven't travelled particularly well so far this season, and an away win at Argyle. And Argyle, we know, are one of the kind of teams who've started the season worse compared to preseason expectations of anybody. So, whilst the form guide might say this is a game between 2 teams that are out of form, I think Leyton Orient's poor results are worrying. I don't think Vale's are at all. And for them to be 23-20 is enough in this reduced slate to get me a bit excited.
Nice. My nap is Huddersfield -1 to beat Peterborough in League One at 11-8 with Sky Bet. Last week, I suggested that I thought Huddersfield might be the real deal before they lost at Barnsley. But I'm here to tell you, don't worry about that. That was just a bit of this and a bit of that. Not much in it, really, until Goodman spilled a cross from Ogbeta, tapped in by Davis Keylor Dunn. And then a red card from Goodman. And then a deflected Luke O'Connell goal from range. And then, in the second half, another goalkeeper error. A 3-1 defeat for Huddersfield that does not worry me one bit when it comes to them. I still believe that they are and will be proven to be a very serious side under Lee Grant. I'm not going overboard on Grant yet, but I'm standing on the edge of the gangplank. Is that what it's called? The gangplank. I'm standing on the edge of the gangplank.
I was about to say no, but we've got a nodding head to our right.
And I'm a what? Churchill the dog. And
yes.
I'm standing on the edge of the gangplank, and I'm about to dive into Lee Grant because I just really like what I've seen so far. There's always that thing about like young, impressionable managers with philosophies, and they want to play a certain kind of way.
Such a thing as young, impressionable podcasters as well, who get swept up in early season form.
Oh, yeah. They play good football, but I think there's a pragmatism to it that makes me feel even better about it rather than a dogmatic style. They'll play forward quickly when they need to, when they have the opportunity to, and they have good players to make the most of that, but they will also look after the ball, and they're developing some really nice patterns of play, which I pointed out on the Monday pod a couple of times. So back at home, I expect them to be looking to sort of, right the wrongs of last weekend. They won 6-2 midweek in the trophy. But this is as much, if not more, about Peterborough United. George talked to them about them on Good Month, Bad Month. They've got 1 point from 6 games so far. And I'll acknowledge that they've had a tough fixture list, but it doesn't get easier travelling to Huddersfield. They haven't scored in 4 of their 6 games, so the sort of thing that always feels like a given with posh goals are dried up. They've had 7 shots or fewer in 4 of their 6 games, and of the 2 goals they've scored, one of them was a penalty on opening day. They've had absolutely none of the counter-attacking, quick transition attacking quality that I expected to see with the players that they have. They haven't had a single fast break shot per Opta's definition in 6 games. Defensively, well, they've given up the 4th most shots, the 4th most XG. Reyes in goal is having a pretty tough shot-stopping season so far, albeit small sample size. And they've conceded 4 goals from set pieces, where Huddersfield, guess what, look pretty strong, Joe Lowe in particular. Posh lost 3-1 to Orient in midweek in the trophy. and they played against 10-man Orient for over an hour there, and the score was 0-0 when the red card happened. They lost 3-1. I think that Huddersfield are going to dominate this game. Tempted by the win to nil price at a longer price of 6-4 than the 11-8 I'm getting, but obviously that can be killed first half. And I think specifically there's something about the second halves I want to flag up and why I leant towards the -1 here. You want a team to kick on once they go ahead to cover the extra goal, 2-goal win or more. And you want the team that you're getting against to kind of fold a bit when they go behind. And I think pretty good signs on that front so far this season. In second halves so far, Huddersfield have scored 8 and conceded 1 in 6 games. They've covered the -1 in 3 of their league games already. 3 of 6, and Peterborough in the second half have scored 1 and conceded 7 and have lost by 2 or more in 3 of 6. So with this, I kind of feel like Huddersfield's overall strength, but also that second half keep going, and Peterborough possibly just so low on confidence that they might fold. I like Huddersfield -1, 11-8.
Nice.
You look like you might have something to say there, but I think you just want to tell me your next best.
I'm engrossed. Okay. You mentioned a relegation 6-pointer in League 2, but you didn't mention Harrogate Crawley. Why not?
Well, I don't believe I'm willing to label either side with like definite relegation battle. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Harrogate's points tally of 8 through 6 points would agree with you. However, Crawley's of 2 through 6 points would cause some alarm bells to be ringing. But shock, despite them being the favourites away from home, I'm backing Crawley to win this one, 8-5. Actually, Sky Bet have both teams 8-5, so nothing between the two of them. But I think Crawley are the better team and the likelier team to win this one. Harrogate started the season brilliantly. I mean no disrespect to them at all. I think they are a team under Simon Weaver who have consistently done this, where in order to stay up, they have to outperform and overperform, and it's therefore not a huge surprise for me to see them rooted to the bottom of the XG ratio charts. They are the worst team in the league as per XG. In part, that will be because they spent quite a lot of this season either level or ahead, hence their points tally, and game state would therefore suggest for a team with one of the poorest squads in the league, then they're going to come under the cosh a little bit. And we mentioned him a lot. In James Belshaw, they've got a very good shot stopper who manages to save shots and stop balls from going in the back of the net. The key part for me about this is Crawley, where normally I think when you see a team's fortunes change on the pitch in terms of performance, but it's not really reflected in their results. Normally these days the market is savvy to it. Like Bolton's a very good example, where Bolton have won 1 game this season in League One. Yet they are consistently priced up now as one of the best teams in the league, despite some pre-season scepticism within the market. With Crawley, it hasn't really happened. They went off like 11-2 at Chesterfield last weekend. They went 2-0 up. They had a chance to win it 3-2. They drew the game 2-2. They were, the main reason for the Aka swerve last week. And again here, like I think in their last 3 games, they've had an incredibly difficult start to the season in terms of the teams they played against. Obvious ones like Chesterfield, like MK Dons, neither of which they've lost. But also games against Crewe and Grimsby that have turned out to be way harder than they looked pre-season. They've got an easier run now. In McCurdy, they've got a player who looks to me like we know that when he's good, as was shown at Swindon, he can be very good at this level. Hasn't shown it for a while, looks bang up for it at the moment. Whether that continues, we'll have to see. Yeah, I think they'll leave this early season form well behind if they maintain their current performance level. And away from home against a team that have maybe overperformed a little bit is a perfect time to do that. So Crawley at 8-5 are my next best.
Goal scorer corner. And it is so tempting just to back Alfie May at even money, as I've got Huddersfield -1. And if I think Huddersfield are going to score 2 or more goals, it stands to reason that I probably think Alfie May will score. But no, this is as much a value-finding mission as anything else. It hasn't gone so well in the first 3 weeks of the season, but we march on. I'm actually going to let you go first here, because for the first time this season, we have a double goal scorer. And that's because, although I would prefer to provide my own separate picks and for us to provide a varied meal of goal scorers, the pick that you've picked, that I've also picked, is because it is standout value and best price in the market with Sky Bet.
Yeah, Will Evans has already scored 2 goals this season. He scored a lot of goals last season in the first half of the campaign before dropping off a little bit. One of his goals this season against Leyton Orient was an incredible strike from outside the box, which has only had an XG value of 0.07. However, his areas are impressive.
I've got him on my screen as well.
FotMob have him at 3.92
Mhm.
expected goals for the season thus far. The shot locations are between both posts and relatively close to the goal. He is a threat from set pieces. He's a threat with his head. If you're looking at the shot dispersion this season so far, from his 17 shots, 7 with his right foot, 6 with his left foot, and 4 with his head, showing a multifaceted range of goal scoring options. He's starting games. He's looking very confident. He's looking very fit. And we know that he's a good enough finisher that there's no way he should be underperforming his expected goals by as much as he is, especially, as I say, given that one of his goals so far is actually a long-range strike. So you could actually say he scored 1 goal from 3.85 XG.
But I actually don't... I think his finishing is probably the weakest part of his game as a striker,
Fine, yeah,
but it doesn't put me off at all.
But also, yeah, I don't... If he carries on in this way, he's going to score, 10 goals from 20 XG, which he's not that bad a finisher. It's going to right itself. He's going to finish these chances soon enough. And they go to... He's hit the bar as well already this season. They go to Wycombe, which is a difficult game. They're a big price for it, and understandably so. But Wycombe's defensive numbers and work this season, not particularly good. So I fancy them, even if they do come away with nothing, to cause them some real concerns. We've seen Mansfield rack up the goals a couple of times, certainly in the 4-1 win over Orient, and wouldn't be surprised if he can do it again here. So Will Evans is 11-4 to score any time. And that is my goal scorer selection.
And it's also one of my 3. Kieran Green, the other one, the old favourite of... He's actually a rare favourite of both the Monday Pod and the betting show. I feel like I've put Zinedine Green up quite a few times on this. Just constantly priced up, just tantalisingly for someone like me who just thinks he's absolutely magnificent. 13-2 anytime to score for Grimsby away at MK Dons, taking a full point of my staking plan. And look, MK are obviously favourites to win this game. Pre-season favourites have started relatively well. Grimsby, I think, were the 11th favourites. That sounds like a stupid phrase, but basically rated 11th by Sky Bet pre-season. After 6 games, I would suggest might be the first, second, third best team in League Two. I think their performances, their results back that up. The performance against Manchester United doesn't hurt with that either. So I think quite interested in Grimsby overall away at MK Dons value-wise, particularly because I think in terms of how the game will play out, I think a bit of space to play into for Grimsby is kind of what they want. And with Artell, a real master of coaching attacking play in particular, I would expect them to cause MK more problems than a lot of teams do. They love a bit of space to play into on the break. And Kieran Green often plays as a very advanced midfield player, kind of that late arriver into the box. He's a really powerful runner. And one of the things that makes me like this bet is that the deepest midfielder for MK Dons is Liam Kelly, which obviously when you're talking about an in-possession player, receiving the ball in tight spaces, progressing it, fantastic. But he's pretty short. He's not a particularly tough tackler. And Green will definitely fancy any scenario where Grimsby have the ball out wide or are attacking on the break. And if it's him versus Kelly galloping towards the box, he's going to back himself every time to get a good chance off it. Anytime has landed in 7 of Green's 41 league starts since the start of last season, since Dave Artell gave him this role. And I think that reflects that this is quite good value. So Kieran Green 13-2 anytime for Grimsby at MK Dons takes a point, and then half a point. We've got to get a big meaty CB up at some time. And we're going for someone that's already been mentioned this season. It's Alfie Kilgore of Bristol Rovers, 16-1 anytime. Now, Kilgore had that crazy opening game of the season against Harrogate. I think he had 5 attempts in the first half. And so that is juicing his numbers a little bit in terms of he stands out as having had the most shots of any centre-back in League Two. But he has had an attempt in every single game since then as well. So it's not just that game.
One off the line when I put him up.
And one off the line when you put him up.
And they scored the rebound.
And they scored the rebound. But also, very visibly, Kilgore has been the guy on the pitch that looks like he's been dragging Rovers through what was quite a tough first 3 or 4 games, and maybe out the other side now, where I think they've looked a lot better in the last 2, throwing himself at everything in both boxes, celebrating every block, every goal. He's obviously a local lad playing for his local team, and I think at the moment he has been one of the few representatives in this Gas team of representing the fan base and putting everything into it as they would expect. And I think it's had a big impact. He somehow hasn't scored yet from 11 shots this season, coming up to 1 XG total. But also it's a Newport thing, wobbly from set pieces. It's let them down where in general their games have been, defensively they've been okay, going forward not offering a lot. And from set pieces, well, in 2 of their last 3 games, a centre-back has scored against them. Aluwo of Salford and Kelland Watts of Cambridge in the last 3 games have scored against them. So at 16-1, I really like Kilgore to throw himself at a few balls into the box and get himself up and running for the season, and hopefully get Goal Scorer Corner up and running as well. George?
Yeah.
I think it's swerve time.
Yeah.
Go on then. What are we swerving this week?
Well, people say, Ali, that you should never, ever put the early kickoff in your ACCA.
Okay.
And normally, I would say, stop being lame, just bet value. It does make a difference.
Right.
In this case.
Okay.
Don't put Bristol Rovers in your ACCA, guys. This is 12:30 kickoff, Newport versus Bristol Rovers. Bristol Rovers are odds on to win this one. Sky Bet have them as 5-6. And yeah, that's very short about a team who found it quite hard to find a way to win for the most part in recent times. They come here fresh off back-to-back league victories, coming against Cambridge and Grimsby, both decent wins, albeit both 1-0, and I wouldn't say overly convincing in either. The key for this, though, in my mind, is Newport, who are still being priced up as the favourites for relegation in League Two. They are like bordering odds on now to finish in the bottom 2. Sky Bet have Newport at even money for relegation, which is unbelievably short at this stage of the season for a team who, in a league where only 2 get relegated. They've won a game. They beat Crawley in their second game of the season. They held Notts County on opening day. Yes, right, they've lost 4 games in a row since then. But they haven't been well beaten in any of them. And I would say as well that the fixture computer hasn't been particularly kind. Like they went to Grimsby and lost 2-1. They lost 1-0 at home to Salford. They lost 2-1 against MK Dons, missing a penalty at 2-1. And last time out, they went to Cambridge and lost 2-0. So like 4 teams there, all there who are expected to go pretty well this season.
What's 4 defeats in a row between friends? Like, just forget it and forget about it.
Yeah, fine. Like I think their performance level so far, I'd be much more concerned about Cheltenham, be much more concerned about Shrewsbury. To an extent, Harrogate, albeit they've got the points tally.
And James Belshaw.
But that's mainly a data thing, you know. I don't think Newport are anywhere near as bad as the market has them being. And I think Bristol Rovers, despite their back-to-back wins, unconvincing wins, albeit decent defensively, and I've got huge respect for Darryl Clark, and I do think Bristol Rovers, in terms of their squad, should be very good. I think 5-6 for an away win here is very, very short indeed.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Someone just sent me a funny picture.
Of what?
Doesn't matter.
Did you listen back to what happened to me on Guardian Football Weekly on Tuesday?
What happened to you on Guardian Football Weekly on Tuesday?
Was it Tuesday or Monday? I was on doing the EFL special. Always very kind of them to ask me. Ask us. We often do it. It's very fun. And I received an email from my daughter's nursery, which any parents out there will know is immediate dread. Like, are they ill? Is it a bill? Like, what is it? And
Ill or bill?
Yeah.
Like the old game, gin or
is
water?
Is it about my windowsill?
Yeah.
And I immediately clicked on it and read the email, which sadly was a bill. And
that's the worst one.
And read the bill and like got quite caught up in like looking at why it was this much and all this stuff. And then Max goes, and I've at this point I've obviously just I've clocked out of the recording. Like I'm not listening to what's going on. Sani Rajavajalo is talking about something in League One, just like what you've just done there. Where you've stopped listening to me there, and you've started looking at your laptop.
Yeah.
And Max Rushton says, "Anything for you in League One, George?" And I was like, oh. I knew I had the league table up, so I went straight down, looked. Yes, Max, I'm really worried about Peterborough, and we did a whole thing, and I could see like Barry and Max in particular looking like quite weird, and I was like, well, what have I said here? Like, do they know that Darren McCansley listens or something? And then as soon as I finished, Max said, "Yeah, well done, George. You just repeated word for word basically what Sani just said."
Oh no!
And they found it so funny that they kept it in. So there we go. On the biggest football podcast in the world, I've been shamed for being unprofessional.
Did you hear what happened to me on Football Weekly this week?
Hold on.
Yeah, okay.
And what's annoying for you is I made that exact gag on the pod where Max said, anything for you in League Two, George? I basically said the two teams that Sani had just been talking about.
God damn it. Okay, it's time for the Eggman. Ali Zaka we're not taking any more submissions for names for it. It's called the Eggman from this point forth. So if anyone joins the betting show late this season, it's going to be a few layers of confusion there, and that's just how it's going to have to be. I'm actually leaving League Two alone completely with the Eggman this week, even though it represents something like 60% of all the games. I think there's some quite scary, genuinely scary stuff on the League Two docket.
Genuinely?
Just in terms of like teams that initially you're like, oh, I'll have a bit of that, and then you weigh everything up and you're like, oh, it's just not quite what I would perceive to be strong value. So I'm leaving it completely. It's a fourfold. It's all League One. It's at 54 to 1, and that's because we've got, obviously, Huddersfield -1, my best bet of the weekend, is in there. I've also got Port Vale in there. You've eloquently broken it down, and I'm very much backing your nap streak. But I also have...
Even though you think variance means it's going to come to a close.
Yeah, but more importantly...
At least you're right one way.
Exactly, can't go wrong. More importantly, I think Port Vale are going to win. Okay.
Siri agrees.
Why are you Googling Luxembourg, Northern Ireland, where I'm talking about my Eggman?
I'll tell you in a bit.
Then the other... Mansfield. We think Will Evans is a good price at 11 to 4. Couple of really, really interesting things chucked up when I was researching Mansfield, and that is, specifically the last 4 games, defensively, something's happened. Like, I haven't considered Mansfield, even when they were incredible in League Two for quite a long period of time, never really thought of them as like, yes, dependable, team shape, suppressing shots, clean sheet, 0s and 1s. Like, that's not how I think of them. And yet, you look at their last 4 games defensively, they're barely facing any shots. In total this season, they have faced the second least shots in League One after Bolton. So something's going very right defensively all of a sudden, and things are looking a lot better. Now they go to Wickham, and Wickham obviously struggling to start the season. Obviously as well, if you know the underlying numbers, they're not horrendous when it comes to Wickham. But I've looked a little bit deeper, and I think we're still at that stage, 6 games in, where 1 or 2 maybe games can be doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to underlying numbers. And I think that's the case with Wickham. Their home game against Exeter, in particular at the start of the season, or the first midweek game of the season, they dominated Exeter on the shot count, on the XGs. They lost 1-0 to an own goal. That game is doing a lot of boosting of Wickham's rating when it comes to the underlying numbers. But I think the bad vibes, the fact that Dodds is surely on the edge, the fans are not having him, and it's getting to the point where, like, we've been waiting for an uptick in results for quite a long time. I don't think the home atmosphere is going to be very, very strong here, considering they're up against a team that I think are really locked in at the moment. So I think Mansfield at, what are they, 3.4? You'll know what that is in the fraction. Off the top of my head, I'm not so good at the old 12 to 5 fractions. I think that's really good value, and that's in the Eggman, as is Bradford. Now, Bradford at Doncaster is a massive game in League One. It was one of the most excited I've been about a game all season, and frankly, pre-season, it would have been a game that I was excited about because Doncaster and Bradford have stepped up so well from League Two to the point where both are legitimately looking at a playoff tilt, and understandably so, based on their performances and their results so far. I think that Donny's last 4 performances have not been that impressive. And I think, a bit like what I just said about Wickham, the first 2 games of the season are having quite a big impact on what are strong underlying numbers. They had a really good, dominant first 2 performances. The last few have all been on the margins. Owen Bailey famously bailing them out, and basically the only player that seems to be able to score for them right now. I don't think going forward this season, Doncaster have been that great. And at the top of the pitch, they don't have anyone in good form apart from their late arriving central midfielder and captain. Bradford, by contrast, have Humphreys looking electric, have Swan scoring 4 and 4, have Poynton looking excellent, have Andy Cook back and scoring in midweek in the trophy. And I think in general, these two teams are pretty similar, but I think Bradford have the more informed attacking players here. So again, I think value-wise, getting them at better than 2 to 1, 3.1 as we record, is really good value. And so I've got an ACCA with Mansfield at 3.4, Bradford at 3.1, Port Vale at 2.2, and Huddersfield -1 at 2.38. So at 54 to 1 with Sky Bet. And I guess with those 2 last ones, Mansfield and Bradford, there's that ACCA freeze opportunity as well, where honestly, sitting there on Saturday, if either of them go ahead early, I'm probably just freezing that. I'm freezing that in. I'm locking that in. So excited about the Eggman this week. Hopefully we can go well. That leads us to the joint bet to finish us off.
The double.
It's a correct score double.
Well, mine is in your game.
Go on then.
The one you just spoke about. So I basically think if you look through Bradford's most recent games, I'm not convinced they're actually playing very well. No, I'm kind of joking. In Doncaster Bradford, we're doing a correct score double, and I'm going for a 1-1 draw here, which is 11-2. It just feels a very obvious game to me where the first goal is going to have a massive impact on game state. Both teams are really, really in form in terms of results. Certainly, looking at Bradford's games this season in the league, the BTTS has copped in every single one apart from the 0-0 draw away at Northampton in the second game of the season. A very, very good attacking side, as you mentioned, but also not the best defensively. Doncaster have scored in every single game this season apart from the defeat against Huddersfield. And I think, again, offer a solid attacking threat. Two teams that came up last season. Together, there will be a bit of needle in it for that reason. Both of them started the season very well. But as I say, I think whoever scores this, I think there will be a lot of joy for both teams going forward, but I anticipate the game state will mean that whoever is 1-0 down in this game is going to dominate the game, and therefore it stinks to me of a 1-1 draw.
An acupuncture game. Bit of needle in it. Yeah, from acupuncture to Accrington. I'm going 4 in the second leg of this double. No goal scorer.
Ooh, maybe it'll be 4 own goals.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
No goal scorer at 10-1. Same price as the 0-0, same price as the under 0.5 goals. No goal scorer in Cheltenham, Accrington. You might say, semantically, we can't call it a correct score double if one of the legs is a no goal scorer bet.
Just call it a double.
It's a double. It's a double. Cheltenham, Accrington, no goal scorer, 10-1 with Sky Bet. This is two poor teams. I do like Accrington. We were a bit hot on Accrington pre-season. That's been chipped away at somewhat with me based on their performances and results so far. But ultimately, the no goal scorer bet comes from this being the worst open play team in terms of XG against the third worst open play team in terms of XG. Both lacking confidence, lacking points. Quite a lot of tension, I think, in the ground here as well. I don't think Accrington are going to be going, pushing forward too much here. I think they'll be looking to probably play for a point here and try and make Cheltenham do the running, which they're not very good at. Between them, they've failed to score in 6 of their 11 league games so far. And 8 of the 11 games they've played combined have finished under 2.5 goals. So it's been low margin stuff. If there's a goal, I predict it'll be from a set piece and hopefully an own goal from a set piece. That would be a bit of fun. So the double is 1-1 in Doncaster, Bradford at 11-2, and no goal scorer in Cheltenham Accrington at 10-1. That is a 71.5.
Wow.
With Sky Bet. A bit of fun. Real bit of fun. I don't mind a reduced slate, I really don't mind it. Please recap your selections.
My Napa, Port Vale to beat Leyton Orient at 23-20. Crawley away at Harrogate at 8-5, my next best. If you're having an ACCA, do not put Bristol Rovers in it. 12:30 kickoff. So if you listen to this at like 2:30, don't worry, you've already missed it. Away at Newport County. Mm-hmm. And then former Newport Countyman, Will Evans. 11-4, anytime for my goal scorer selection from Mansfield Town and Wycombe Wanderers.
My nap is Huddersfield -1 at 11-8 in League One. Goal scorer corner houses Will Evans, 11-4, 1 point. Kieran Green of Grimsby, 13-2, 1 point. And Alfie Kilgore, Bristol Rovers, 16-1. All prices with Sky Bet. I am having an ACCA and I'm not having Bristol Rovers in it. I am having Mansfield.
What happens the first time that you put the ACCA swerve in your ACCA, in the Eggman?
I told you it's not going to happen.
Okay.
With everything you say, I've already thought.
Sentences.
So if you think it's bad value, it's not going in my ACCA, is it?
Okay.
Mansfield, Bradford, Port Vale, and Huddersfield -1 is the Eggman this week. 55.07 with Sky Bet as we record. And the double. Doncaster Bradford to finish 1-0. And Cheltenham Accrington, no goal scorer. The double at 71.5 with Sky Bet. Now, it's the end of the week. It's the end of a great week of podding. We did the Monday pod. We did the Deadline Day live stream. We did Good Month, Bad Month. And now the betting show. And I was a bit frazzled on Monday, and at the end of the Monday pod, I didn't say go well. And for many of you, that won't have made a single bit of difference to your week, but I have heard from more people than I can count on one hand what an impact it had on you, particularly Mondays, your Tuesdays, and that's a responsibility that I feel strongly. So, hopefully the sound of the start of your weekend has cheered you up. Have a great one. Thanks to Sky Bet for sponsoring this podcast. Cheers and go well.